Hey, what's going on guys, Zev here. Before we get started today, I wanted to add an extra disclaimer that what we're going to be discussing is a lot more disturbing than the nonsense we normally cover. I'm not really one to personally provide trigger warnings or anything like that, and I believe you guys wouldn't require a disclaimer of the sorts, but again, given today's topic, I wanted to provide that courtesy. Today we're going to be covering a webcomic creator by the name of Sophie Labelle, who goes by the screen name assigned at birth, who is well known for their LGBT WEBTOON series Serious Trans Vibes, and even more so her various mini-comics that she releases on her Twitter page. As you can expect, she's very heavily focused on LGBT themes and conversations, very clearly demonstrating what side of the political spectrum she resides in, which in and of itself is not an inherently negative trait. However, when you see constant hyper-focus on gender identity and constant engagement on politics pertaining to a particular ideology, you can very easily lead to toxicity and, in my experience, can run the risk of losing yourself in said politics. Basically, in the world of hyper-focusing on politics, nobody wins. Going back to her Twitter page, Sophie puts a lot of focus on LGBT themes that also involve children, which is what a lot of the criticism towards her comes from. I'm not here to say that LGBT education should be kept out of schools or that kids shouldn't be exposed to gay people. I believe that telling your 7-year-old child why those two men are holding hands will not do anything to damage the future generation. However, if you constantly bombard your child with things they may not fully understand, especially the complexity of something like gender dysphoria, I feel that could lead to some serious unnecessary struggles down the road. So it was just another day on the Elon Musk sandbox. Sophie releases a new mini-comic. The premise of this one is just letting kids freely explore themselves, which of course to an extent I agree with. But with everything there has to be moderation. Please teach your kids about sexual health and wellness, but don't send your kid a link to your favorite hentai. The comic that I just mentioned was slapped with a community note that shared some rather striking information. @AssignedMale has a history of using photos of IRL children to draw furry fetish art. This note is referring to a Facebook post exposing Sophie for this behavior. In this post, it shows a side-by-side comparison of the furry diaper art that was allegedly made by Sophie, using a picture of an actual baby to trace this art piece. Due to the extremely damning accusation this post was delivering, I wanted to do as much digging as I could to confirm that this was in fact Sophie. The post mentioned the user, the Waffles3. Searching that username on Twitter leads to a small account with little activity and nothing pointed it towards Sophie other than the same obsession with left-leaning politics. Her Webtoons and Coffee account also left us with 0 leads aside from comparing art style, which I don't feel is always a definitive method. Upon a quick search of Sophie's name on Google, you get a Tumblr post sharing this information regarding Sophie, which does include furry diaper art. This post also shared a message from Sophie herself where she linked a blank Patreon page that shared the same name of the user who posted the original traced art piece. Going back to the results that you get on Twitter, you get a thread discussing this very topic regarding the deleted post. One of the users tagged in this conversation was the Waffles account. While I have yet to currently find any information regarding Sophie acknowledging the original art piece, I believe that this is more than enough information to lead her back to the piece. It goes without saying that this is fucking disgusting. You simply don't use minors as reference for a fetish piece. Why would you do that? I know that we've discussed Polycon in the nuance of that topic. I mentioned more than once about how US law doesn't recognize artwork as CP unless it depicts a real-life minor. This situation regarding Sophie has a much stronger argument for being equated to actual CP. While the argument regarding identifying a real minor is a lot stronger in this case, it may not unfortunately be as set in stone due to the design of the finalized piece. One could make the argument that the laws surrounding parody could void the CP argument. However, the true definition of parody may not be substantial enough for this particular argument. And despite all the research I can do, I'm personally not educated enough to make a final decision on this exact case. But the point still stands that they used a real child, a baby, to trace their fetish art. While they're out here preaching about gender and acceptance and all the typical progressive stuff that you could expect. And here's the thing, I am not trying to defend them while mentioning the legalities of the situation. I'm just trying to be as realistic as I can and give the proper labels to the situation. But again, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because what she did is morally reprehensible. And I, for one, do not trust her to be around kids, let alone making art focused on exposing kids to really complex topics. Not to mention using real life kids, again, a baby nonetheless, in diapers to mold the final product of their furry fetish art. And another big thing I want to add here, I sincerely urge people, please do not use this person as an excuse to bash the LGBT community. That's not what I'm here to do. All I'm doing is talking about one irresponsible degenerate who should not be speaking on behalf of the community. Anyone who is part of the LGBT who sees this video, I highly encourage you to speak out against this behavior. I've seen so many cases where people will generalize and define the whole community as a bunch of degenerates when we don't have very many people of the same community speaking out against them. I heavily encourage those to do so. So with all that being said, that's gonna do it for today. If y'all enjoyed, feel free to like and sub. Stay safe, stay sane. Please look after each other. Goodbye.